be here because he's only 12, and when you're 10,
I'm 22.
You never think
like
that.
I'm 22.
All right. So our show is all about supporting guys that are going through their mental issues and physical issues. And if we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour a week, and you help them, and they help each other, we'll all be a better place to live. So lots been going on in the last 3 weeks that we weren't together. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we want to thank Miller's Ale House for now coming up on our 2.5 years here.
2.5 years.
3 years of the show almost in February. So we're getting very close to our 3-year anniversary. It's been a blast, and we'll continue now in 25. Let's. What'd you get to eat, Robert? Oh, we got the same thing.
We got the same thing.
Chicken BLT.
It's kind of it makes me think like when we're doing picks and we come up with the right one, we shouldn't all agree.
So we're all
us agreeing. I don't know.
Oh no,
I think we're both going to be.
Oh, they're going to be excellent food.
No, Robert, I disagree because we get the same thing.
Oh, that's true. But me and him have never. You and me. I don't.
Yeah, but he always gets the same thing every week. So.
This is the first time I've ever gotten
He
that.
flipped it up this week.
To this point, that's my point.
So
he's stepping out in
Larry,
2025.
how'd you step out, Larry?
I'm getting the calamari tonight.
Oh, okay, all right.
First time you've had that in a long time.
I thought about you last night, Larry. I was watching Jeopardy, and Liechtenstein was the answer to the final Jeopardy question. I said, "Hi."
Oh, was?
Yeah. I was
You
cracking
ruined
up.
Jeopardy
Yeah, I was
for
gonna-
me from
Last
last
night.
night. I was
Yeah.
going to watch it.
Well,
Was it?
don't
Was
watch
it?
the final.
Was it? What is the smallest double landlocked country in the world?
No, it's
because there's
something-
only 2 double
something more-
landlocked countries in the world.
See there, so he
Liechtenstein
can
is
at
one.
least guess what the question was. All right, let's get the commercial out of the way. Ron Smith.
Making preparations for when you're not around anymore is not easy. Nobody likes to think about their own mortality, and we can talk about it next week. Doesn't always fit into the big picture. And that's why you should contact our friend Ron Smith at Senior Life Insurance. Whether you're being buried or cremated, costs keep going up, but you can lock in that price today and take this final expense off your to-do list. Do your loved ones a favor and take care of your final expense so that when your time does come knocking, they won't have to worry about it. If you're age 1 to 85, they have a plan ready for you, so please contact our friend Ron and his team at 440-561-0758. That's right, 440-561-0758.
I wanted to say that.
I knew you did.
All right, so happy to be back, and happy to have our good friend, Mr. Ian King, back with us. Ian, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. Doing good.
Oh, there's the crowd. The crowd had to look to see who it was first before they realized who to clap for.
I understand that.
So Ian's got a lot to be happy about, and we'll go ahead and start talking some college football. Buys. I thought it was a great post.
Go Irish.
They're all gone. The first 4 buys.
Well, nobody won a home. Nobody lost a home game, and those teams haven't lost still. 8-0.
8-0. That's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. Of course, a couple of the teams, probably Boise State and Arizona State, didn't deserve buys.
Correct.
But they did based on the rules of this year.
Correct.
But something will change.
Things will definitely change on that one. But, it's funny because, you don't have statistics until something actually happens. How long do you think it'll be before home teams go 8-0 ever again?
Probably a long time.
It could be. I would venture to say it'll never happen while there's a 12-team playoff. They'll turn it into a 16 or something else at that point.
I saw a stat today that there was no undefeated football team this year. NFL, FBS, or FCS.
Correct.
There were no undefeated football teams.
Montana State lost.
They were the last. Them in Oregon.
Yeah, in Oregon. Yeah, so that's crazy. Obviously, my picks are out the window, so I get to start again now. Bye-bye, bye-bye Bama, bye-bye Oregon. Yeah. So of all the games, and I was shocked about how easily Ohio State took care of Oregon. I thought it was going to be a much better game. Robert even texted me and said, what you think is going to be the best game? And I said, obviously the last one, and it wasn't by a long shot.
But, when you look at that Ohio State team, I watched Penn State, Ohio State in the middle of the season. That was a garbage fire. I couldn't get excited about either team. This Ohio State team has come from nowhere these last 2 games. So, as far as how good they look, well, they look incredible. They look better than they did probably 10 years ago when they won the national title. So I just don't know if we can pencil them in and go, yeah, they're going to keep showing up because it's Ohio State, and that's not what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Ohio State this year, they're a team that was able to grow, and that's the beauty of the 12-team playoff, where you have teams that, started off slow, got their bumps early in the year, but worked them out, and then continue to get better and get better and get better and build off that, momentum that they
until they got beat by Michigan.
Yeah.
And I think they owe it all to Michigan.
Yeah.
I think Michigan woke up the sleeping beast.
Yeah, they did. And I tell you, Ohio State does have some great athletes on there. They always have top 5 recruiting classes.
Absolutely.
They have one of the best NIL pools of money out there. They are the best college athletes that money can buy at Ohio State. Some of the best college athletes that money
They
can
got
buy
the
at
best
Ohio
receiver
State.
I've seen in a long time.
And their number 2 receiver, depending on how you'd like to look at 1 and 2, he's probably better than everybody else as well.
Yeah. Now on the flip side, for the best game, I mean, hands down, I thought it was the Arizona State Texas game. Now I will say that the ending of that game.
Arizona State got ripped off,
They did. Between the no call on the targeting,
which was the definition of targeting.
Absolutely.
absolutely, and then also a missed call that you had to hit the rule book to actually find. The ball that was blocked on that kick in the first half actually went through the upright after being blocked and hitting the ground and bouncing up and ricocheting through the uprights. By rule and by definition, that field goal was technically good.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That was an internet theory that was wrong. But that's
You
not.
used to be able to do drop kicks, and if you design a drop kick, then it's good. But
Because it hits the ground first
Yes,
and then it goes
correct.
to the goalpost. Yeah.
correct.
Then
Yeah.
I rescind my statement.
But either way, it was the game. But
And I know Robert wants to talk a little bit about the Georgia and
I
who
don't
did
need to
they
talk
play?
about it.
I want to
Notre Dame
talk
game?
about that game.
But the officiating in all the games that I watched was poor. I mean, even in this Texas and who was it? Arizona State game. It wasn't great, I mean, they'll never take out the human element of the game, which I think it makes it even more controversial, which makes it even better. But man, sometimes there's just some calls that you just look and say, how can this be?
And they never use the same conference to do their own conference games. Should that even make a difference?
Shouldn't.
I mean, if the Big 12 is doing the Notre Dame Penn State game, that should be good.
Yeah.
It's not. But
Or
it
could
should
you do
be.
half
It's
cruise?
almost.
What's that?
Could you do half cruise if it's SEC?
I don't
playing
think
in
you,
SEC?
I don't think you
it's
want to
all-
do a
I
half
don't
crew
think you- yeah.
because then you don't have that.
We are
Hey,
going to do.
based on our guest, who was the referee or the Brandon, he was basically saying each league is different. So based on that, it doesn't, using a different crew doesn't make sense.
Well,
Yeah.
Kirby said something about
He said
when they
the,
swapped
yeah.
out the 11
Correct.
for 11.
Correct.
He said that won't be called in the SEC. So
And
I don't know.
The
but-
SEC officials came back and said that was legal because it was a dead ball and they didn't touch the ball before they swapped everybody
So
out.
if the center puts his
Yes.
mid on the ball,
Then it's
it
not
changes
illegal.
which
Yes.
there's a lot of different
Yes.
nuances like that, I guess.
But
And before we go any further, let me say condolences to Kirby Smart's family because I hate it that somebody loses their dad, and that's beyond football. That's life, and we pray for the Smart family.
we do, and they said he was feeling fine up until the time that sucker ran into the punter for the second time in a row. And he's like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And he fell over.
yeah.
Well, I don't think that was roughing I
The
think
first one,
was
could have
definitely
been,
was.
but
Yeah.
but once you run into him the second
Yes.
time, you've got to
Yeah.
you got to
be
up the
consistent.
ante.
Yeah.
Well, you got to hey. Clearly, you didn't understand that we said that was bad, so we're going to give you a harsher penalty to make sure.
Well, here's the way I understood it, and I might be wrong, but if you hit the plant leg, that's roughing.
That
if you
is
hit the
roughing,
kicking
yes.
leg,
Yes.
That's running into the kicker.
But what changes that is when you hit it with momentum. When they hit him on that first one, and it's like a turnstile, and he's doing that's roughing. It doesn't matter.
I couldn't believe they didn't call roughing on the first one, but I also
yeah.
couldn't believe they called interference on Notre Dame on that first drive. when Georgia had a 3rd and long.
There's
Didn't
a
look
lot-
like- it was horrible.
There's
That game
always
in
going to be
particular.
holding and interference calls that you're not used to. When the punter is by himself and everything's on that, that's one
Everybody's
that you
watching
never.
it.
that's
I've got a new hero though. Parker Jones.
Parker Jones?
is my hero.
Who is he?
Favorite UGA player of all time.
He's the one that
Good old
cost
number
him that-
39.
Yeah, number 39. He was the one that cost him that penalty. But I will say that the issues with the officiating will continue to persist in perpetuity until they stop.
Or forever.
Until they stop having the officials by the association, by each conference.
Right.
Until they have a national base of officials and not have them prescribed by conference.
You're right.
You're going to continue having all of these issues
I
that
agree
you
with that.
continue to have, through the playoffs, through the bowl games, through each level.
And not to mention, in different leagues, the Big 12, which is more of a passing league, probably has more things where they say, hey, officials, we're looking at pools for pass interference or whatever. Big 10, more of a running league. They probably are looking for more of holding
Holding.
on the line, or so it is different nuances for each official in each crew. So.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but I think that's a great idea. Just have one huge pool of officials.
Yeah.
And put them all together and say, these are the rules in every conference.
Yeah.
And let's go that way.
But you still have to have teams to have cohesion.
Yeah.
So you're still dealing with a group of guys. Hopefully they know more rules than some of these guys have.
But you could have a crew like work the Southeast and do maybe a Tech game one week, a Georgia game, an Alabama game, a FSU game.
Hey, geographic, not conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were there any other good bowl games?
All sorts of good bowl games.
Yeah. Well, I liked the Louisville-Washington game. And again, I got screwed at the end because Washington had 8 downs to score from the 1, and then they finally score on the 8th down, which cost me another $100 or whatever it was.
Let me just say one thing that I saw, and it was funny when I was picking bowls. I didn't notice it, but after the fact, I was like, the Alamo Bowl. Do you remember who played in that?
I remember the Alamo, but I don't remember who
Hertz
played
versus
it.
Enterprise?
matchup.
It was a Big 12 matchup between teams that didn't play in the regular season.
Oh, yeah,
It was
BYU,
and
Colorado.
And it's like, what a horrible bowl game. If you want me to watch that game, then schedule it during the regular season.
Shador wore Giants cleats, and he performed just like a Giants quarterback.
Yeah. I'm never pulling for Colorado.
I think one of my favorite bowl games, though, was the Citrus Bowl between Illinois and South Carolina.
that was a
That
good
was
game.
a good game.
That was a very good game.
One of my doubles I'll pick and lost.
Yeah, that was a very good game. And I was actually really impressed by Illinois being able to come out and shut down South Carolina the way they did.
They did. And I personally don't think we're allowed to hold, and I know that we will and everything else, but when you're close to making the 12-team playoff and you don't, you're so let down. I don't know that, Alabama losing to Michigan and, they look like a garbage fire or whatever.
Alabama was my other double.
But most likely had that team made the playoffs, that's not what you would have seen.
Yeah.
In South Carolina's particular instance, because they're trying to get to that spot, I think that was everything they had, and Illinois played a really, really good game.
I liked the Pop-Tart Bowl. Just because they put the Pop-Tart in the toaster and then they ate the Pop-Tart. It's just fun.
It was a fun game to watch,
Yeah.
too, overall. I mean, seeing the comeback by Iowa State and just, seeing
That was
Miami
another one I
perform
missed.
the way they did, that was one of the best bowl games of this season. But I will tell you which bowl game was not good was the Birmingham Bowl.
Oh, I remember the Birmingham Bowl. I produced the Birmingham
You
Bowl
were
game.
at the
Jackets
Birmingham
didn't look
I
Bowl.
was at the Birmingham Bowl.
I'm sorry.
It was not pretty.
Not just because they
was
lost,
the
but
good
because
weather
the
that day?
weather sucked.
The weather sucked.
Well, it got
the
better
officiating
throughout the
was
game.
even worse.
Yeah.
And just watching watching that game in person, seeing the running into the returner
He pushed him.
pushed,
I saw it on TV.
He did not-
He
so-
extended his arm. He pushed him.
but the veracity of which that he hit the returner,
He extended the arm.
there was an
They're
extension-
they're gonna call that.
Whenever your arm's extended.
Yeah.
he went full speed right at the.
I'm not saying he didn't act.
Yeah, it didn't change the direction, which by rule didn't change the direction of where the guy was going, which should have been interfering with the return. It should have been a big penalty. It was a momentum killer, and the fact that Georgia Tech had to start at the 2 where the ball was finally recovered, as opposed to starting at the 45 where the ball should have been placed. Yeah, it was a big.
It was a horrible call.
Yeah, it was a
horrible call.
It was a big swing in momentum. Also, there were several pass interference calls, that were made that were terrible. For example, on the second drive of the game for Vanderbilt, they're coming down the field, and the receiver actually pushes off on the face mask, grabs the face mask of the DB for Georgia Tech, number 4, pulls him down, and then they call defensive pass interference.
The Georgia Tech DB grabbed the face mask of the Vanderbilt player first.
That's incorrect.
Okay,
I watched it on TV.
We don't want to get into semantics of a game that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I hate that the Jackets got beat as bad as they did. But
That was a rough game with the weather, especially.
Even with the officiating, Georgia Tech outgained Vanderbilt by nearly 100 yards. And not only did they outgain them by nearly 100 yards, they still came back and just lost within 8 points. It's still a one-possession game at the end of the game, despite the officials, giving out, over 80 yards of.
We might have to bring my buddy Brandon back on here so we can talk more officials. And be
There
like,
you go.
We all think everybody sucks except for you, sir.
yeah. I see one of our favorite guests, Mr. Brent Rittersdorf, is in the house. Brent, welcome. Justin, welcome, buddy, to the first time. Awesome to see you. We got a couple of commercials we got to do, but I want to say one thing more before we move on. Did you know that interesting fact I heard about Georgia was they were 113th out of about 134 of fourth quarter scoring, which really shocked me because they had come back in a couple of games and won, but I just couldn't imagine. I thought that was a pretty high number for them.
It is. It tells me they must have come back in the third quarter in most of those games.
And not in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get our commercials out of the way, and we'll move on to the picks for the semifinals.
Joshua Smith and his wife Tammy are both graduates of Kennesaw State College. He's been practicing law for 24 years, specializing in sports and entertainment law, while continuing in criminal defense, civil litigation, juvenile and personal injury, and he's ready to represent you all the way from your small town to the Supreme Court and any appellate court in between. With all the new rules regarding NIL and cash payments to athletes, they are placing a new emphasis on Kennesaw State University student athletics to help our student athletes better navigate some of the bigger issues that have tripped up so many. Give them a call tomorrow at 706-217-2095.
What number is that?
That was 706-217-2095.
And we thank you, Joshua and Tammy, for being sponsors. And just before I forget, come out tonight at 7 o'clock at Miller's Ale House. We'll be hosting the new head football coach from Kennesaw State, Jeremy Mack, and his general manager, Mike Kershaw. So look forward to having them tonight at 7 o'clock. There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Kennesaw Express Lube or Lawson Mountain Express Lube. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business, and you'll find Brian under a car or hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer
Castrol products.
Absolutely. So thank you, Brian and Josh, for continuing to sponsor. We've got a couple of new sponsors coming on this month, but they didn't get their commercials into us, so we'll get them up to date next week.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we got 2 games left, 3 college football games left in the season, and the first one is tomorrow night. Is that you guys?
It is.
It is. It is Penn State and Notre Dame.
I know the answer from you, but Robert, which game are you looking forward to watching more?
The other game.
Yeah.
I mean, the other game. Should we do this one in order? Not the way it's on the list, and we'll just
that's fine. Yeah.
Penn State and Notre Dame. If you take away, and I understand before I say this, so don't send Larry any hate mail. But if you take away the first,
at least not for that,
11 minutes or whatever of the Penn State game, Penn State beats Boise State 17-14. So they got 14 early, and they kind of rode it to a win. Notre Dame scored 17 points in 72 seconds. It took a horrible
54.
It took a horrible quarterback to fumble inside the 8-yard line and then a kickoff return. You take those 17 points away, Notre Dame loses that game 10-6. Now, is Georgia's defense better than Penn State's? Absolutely. But there's nothing in Notre Dame's offense that should scare anybody at this point if you watch that game. I'm going Penn State, not because I'm all buying the gear like the guy at the end of the table here, but because Notre Dame looks so horrible. 90 yards passing, you're going to have to come up with something more than that.
Then why do you think that Notre Dame's a 1.5 point favorite?
Because there
it's
are
Notre
75 million Catholics in the United States.
So
That's it.
eating fish gets you a 1.5.
Well, no.
Yeah, because of the betting.
Well, yeah. Well, and don't ever forget, where is South Bend?
Indiana.
Chicago. It's Chicago. It's like Kennesaw to Atlanta. So although you think, oh, it's Indiana, no, it's freaking Chicago. So there's a lot more sports betting. So that never hurts the number either.
Give me my Nittany Lions. I was extremely excited to see Notre Dame, down the Dogs this past week. But I will say that, both teams did not look good. Georgia is more of the same, just not executing where they're supposed to execute. Defense looking good on both sides, but just because of sloppy play by quarterbacks. Notre Dame, I'm glad that they were able to win the Sugar Bowl, but
You'd rather play them than Georgia.
I would rather play them because despite that stat that you pointed out there that they're 113th out of 132 teams
Scoring in the fourth quarter, yeah.
scoring in the fourth quarter, I feel like that, your mind tells you that they have come back a lot more lately than they have throughout the season. But the fact of the matter is that they are a more dangerous team against more competitive teams, and I think that's kind of the story with Georgia is that they had an unbalanced schedule where they were in the lead for the majority of the game, each week, so they didn't have to have a fourth quarter comeback, which
right.
Plays into that number of 113, 134, or what have you. But give me Penn State all day. I don't care that Notre Dame's a 1.5 point favorite. I will say Marcus Freeman, hats off to him. He brought back
Boy,
the
he earned
tradition.
my respect at that game. Yeah.
I mean, between his that play call where he had the punt team on there, they didn't touch the ball and swapped out all
11 players.
11 guys, so they could get.
But they still jumped offside.
Yeah, to get them to jump off sides is fantastic. It was such a great play call by him to draw off the Dogs and just go ahead and get the automatic first down and get a free play out of the deal. Hats off to him, but also hats off to him because he actually brought back the tradition at Notre Dame that Brian Kelly stopped doing, where the team would have mass the day of the game and have a pre-meeting mass before
Pre-game mass?
Pre-game mass before going to the stadium. So
That was a massive decision.
Ooh.
Man, I really missed that.
I
By
don't.
the way, down here in the South, I know that there are not many Catholics, but mass is service, church service. So
Yeah, I knew what mass was, and I'm not a Catholic.
Yeah, you said it was massive. He just had to make sure.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. I really want to take Penn State too. I think they're going to win. But man, if we all take Penn State, then we got an issue
Go ahead. I'll be the one.
because usually it'll go the other way. I love Warren. He's one of my favorite football players there is out there. Hard player. I don't want him to see him be a Falcon because we've drafted enough tight ends. But he's an excellent football player. He'll be a really good player, a Brock Bowers type guy in the pros when he gets there. Probably a little bit faster than Brock Bowers.
That might be a little lofty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just said every record.
Yeah, I know it. But I said type. I didn't say he would be as good. Yeah. Very, very good college football player. And I did see Ashton Jenney declared for the pros today. Did you see that?
No, I did not, but
Yeah.
clearly we all thought he would.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Although, man, could you imagine if he came out of the portal? I'm going to Bama.
Oh,
You know,
God.
could you imagine somebody like that through a massive line? Thank goodness.
Yeah. I'll take Penn State. I've told everybody I got to take them from my buddy Ian. So I'll go with the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I was going to say, you told me that like a week ago. You're going to change it now that Ian's sitting next to you?
No, I did tell him that a week ago. Yeah. All right.
I am not taking them for my buddy Ian. Drew Aller's fine. James Franklin's fine. Tyler Warren's good, I guess. I don't care. Jeremiah Love has been fantastic in the playoffs. They scored 17 points in 54 seconds against Georgia, who's supposed to be so good.
One of them was a 7-yard drive. The other one was a return kickoff.
They blew out Indiana, who is supposed to be so good.
Now we get the real reason.
Correct.
I don't care. I'd take anybody over Penn State. Give me the Irish.
Give me the Irish.
Well, here's the beautiful stat of the day: is that
I love stats.
over the last 3 weeks, over the last 3 games that Penn State has played, they have had over 200 yards rushing every single game between their three-headed monster of
They
Kaytron
played
Allen,
bad teams.
Nick Singleton, and
They
Drew
played.
Aller.
They played SMU and Boise State.
At the end of this, I unfortunately agree with the guy who keeps talking, and 2, you guys commit to the run better than any of these other teams. So it is your identity. You're supposed to run for 200.
Yeah.
Kaytron Allen's great, but SMU and Boise State.
I still don't think Boise State's that bad of a football team. As Robert said, it was a close game if you take out the 11 minutes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which actually makes me worry about Penn State more than thinking Boise State's good. It's like, but we're going to find out. Either Notre Dame or Penn State will be playing for a title. I don't think either one of those are probably one of the 2 best teams, but guess what? It doesn't matter. That's who's in it.
Let's go to the Friday night game. Ohio State's 6-point favorite, or 5.5, I think is what I put.
Moves
checked.
all the time.
Yeah, ESPN, whenever I did the agenda yesterday. 5.5, wow. Everybody from the SEC is taking Texas. But is it just because they love the SEC, or do they really think Texas can beat Ohio State?
It's because Texas can always find a way to win that game.
I think it's
Which game?
Not
Which
the 2 against
game?
Georgia.
Yeah, you're probably right, Chuck. I mean, SEC people have been told for the last 2 weeks, oh, clearly you're not. So if Texas somehow can come out of all of this, then all of a sudden all the SEC people get to go, oh, yeah, our down year, we still won the freaking title. So that being said, there are definitely a lot of – and the other part you got to never forget – Georgia and SEC fans are used to rooting against Ohio State. Ohio
That's
State's
true.
somebody who always shows up to the Final Four and everything else. So there's a little hatred there.
Well, I'll go ahead and go first. I think if Ohio State plays the way they have the last 2 games, they cannot be beat. If they do.
I don't think the Jaguars could beat them.
Yeah. Maybe the Falcons. I don't know. But, I think Ohio State will cover this 5.5. Who would you rather play, Ian?
I would rather play Texas, which is why Ohio State is going to go ahead and win this game because, honestly, Texas looks terrible. Even though they found a way to win against Arizona State, I mean, they found a way to win thanks to some no calls and some uncalled targeting here. But, at the end of the day, Texas coming out of the SEC, they had the weakest SEC schedule of any SEC team in the league or in the conference. Ohio State, they play their normal 3 every single year. They played against, and plus they played against Oregon. So they played Penn State, Michigan, Indiana, and Oregon. And, they went 2-2 in those games. And you know what? That's the Big Ten for you. And I got to say, this year and how the bowls have gone this year, obviously – looking at the bowls and looking at the stats for this year, the Big Ten has been dominant compared to the SEC this year. So give me the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're going to go ahead and win that game, and they'll be here in Atlanta meeting Penn State.
And you'll be at that game.
I will be at that game.
Yeah.
I think Ian just did some reverse psychology on his picks. He's like, I really want Texas. That's why I'm telling you, Ohio State's coming to town. What do you got to say about it, intern?
What do I have to say about it? Okay. Cam Scattaboo had maybe the most legendary bowl performance ever.
When he got his helmet ripped off and then he started scowling at the people, I love it.
He caught 8 passes for 90 yards.
Can we talk about the game
He
that we're playing?
I'm getting there. He ran for a bunch of yards. He threw for a touchdown on a play that wasn't even designed to throw for a touchdown.
But he's not playing this weekend.
And the Texas defense looked terrible. And they're going to look terrible again this week. It'll be Ohio State Notre Dame in the national championship. Give me the Buckeyes.
So Texas was up.
Texas is going to win.
Texas was up 17-5 and 24-8. What scares me about Texas is they're not as bad of a team as everybody's throwing them under the bus doing. But when the end of the fourth quarter comes and they start playing the prevent the win defense, which every team specializes in a prevent the win defense. Ohio State is probably the most explosive team in the history of college football, having those two wide receivers. If you are playing off and you are giving them anything, I'm going Texas in this game. I'm not going to say Ohio State might not, with a prevent the win defense, come across the
game
finish. No, with a finish line at the end. But I think Texas is going to learn something, and they're going to try to not go into their prevent the win defense as quickly.
But if Ohio State winds up playing Penn State in the national championship, does that mean that the Big Ten is a better conference this year than the SEC?
Yes.
It means Ohio State is. I mean, and once again, I'll be rooting for Penn State in that game probably. But Ohio State, what has happened in the last two games? Clearly, the best performances you've seen this year, possibly outside of Georgia at Austin, months and months and months ago.
Yeah, you know what's funny is we have a new college football fan now, Brent Rittersdorf, because his man is now coaching at North Carolina. He told me it now a couple of weeks ago that he will now be watching football on Saturdays to see what the Tar Heels do. So,
Lord have mercy. We all know Belichick can spot college talent, but outside that, I don't know.
All right, well, let's get a brain train commercial and then we'll move on to the pros.
So you took.
Hey, it's Melissa at Brain Train Centers, the fastest growing neurofeedback provider in the world, and I have some pretty important questions for you. Do you or someone you know struggle with focus and attention, sleep, memory, or other mood issues? Or maybe you just want to achieve more in high-pressure situations? Well, what if I told you you can unlock your brain's full potential and change your life entirely through neurofeedback, a drug-free and natural approach to negative moods, and it's backed by more than 50 years of research, so it's not new. It is safe for both children and adults as you retrain the brain to create new pathways. Medication may help short-term, but they don't address the underlying issues. Just as push-ups help your physical strength, neurofeedback is personal training for your brain. With over 20 offices nationwide, don't hesitate to reach out to Brain Train Centers, as we will provide you with the highest level of compassionate care and help you achieve the mental clarity, performance, and calm you deserve. Your journey to a better quality of life starts with a brain map. Now you can retrain your brain and reset your life. So just call or text 470-291-2778 or visit BrainTrainCentersInc.com.
For being sponsors of the Three Guys Who Love Sports. Again, Happy New Year and welcome to Miller's Ale House. Got another half hour of a show to go here. Then we have another
Bobble Chuck.
A show at
Bobble
7 o'clock,
Chuck.
all about Kennesaw State sports, and it's going to be Coach Jerry Mack and Mike. I'm blanking, not Schwarber. Kershaw, that's one. Clayton's younger brother, going to be on the show at 7 o'clock with us. Let's move on to some pro ball. Let's give us a grade for the Falcons
F.
this year.
Falcons get an F.
F for Falcons.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the year. This should have been an 11-win, a 12-win team. They have the talent. They brought in Kirk Cousins.
They didn't have the talent. That was
no. At the beginning of the year,
absolutely, we thought
at the
Cousins
beginning
was
of the
good.
year, we talked about.
Sure.
We thought they had the talent. This was their division to lose, and it just fell apart. It fell apart after week 3 when they went when they went on that 4-game losing streak.
Falcons did some decent things early in the year. Beating the Bucs twice definitely upped our opportunities to play this weekend. But at the end of the day, Cousins wasn't the guy, and that's why we weren't the team.
Well, from the time they were 6-3, the next 9 games, from Seattle to the Giants, do you know how many second half points the Falcons scored?
I'm going to say not many, Chuck.
12. 12 in the second half from Seattle to the Giants game.
And 8 of those were Washington, right?
Yeah. It was a brutal second half. I wouldn't give them an F because I thought what they got out of Michael Penix was pretty good. So I'm going to give them a D. I read something about Michael Penix that there's some group or organization that rates every quarterback for each
Pro
game. Pro Football Focus. He had the 4th highest rating of any quarterback the entire year against Carolina. He was rated 96.5 or 95.6, which is the 4th highest rating of any quarterback the whole year.
Against Carolina.
Yeah. So pretty good stat. He looked good. I mean, two of his 3 interceptions weren't his fault. The only one that was the opening drive of the Washington game. He looked bad. Bad throws. Read later that somebody ran the wrong route, or he wasn't going where he thought he was going to go. So, man, I just hate the Falcons. Everybody had such high hopes for the Falcons. Everybody did.
That's because we make big things of Kool-Aid around here.
Yep, we do.
This is our year, baby.
We
Not
do,
I.
and it didn't happen. Now, next year, Robert, I don't know if you saw this or not, your Buffalo Bills are coming to town. Did you know that?
Well, no, I did not.
Yeah.
The problem is that now we're playing a second place schedule.
Yeah.
So the schedule just got much more difficult next year because we're a second place team, not a third or a fourth place team. That's kind of one of the reasons why Minnesota rode it all the way to, they were playing a third place schedule. That's a big difference when it comes to those extra 4 games.
Well, and I think that's hard to say because you look at the first of the season, the schedule, Falcons laid out very tough first half of the season and not so tough the second half. But the second half wound up killing them.
Well, but by the second half, you knew Cousins couldn't step into a throw. And on a slightly different note, where do you think Kyle Pitts will have his Hall of Fame career?
Back at
Not
Florida.
Atlanta. Drake London looked better, though.
Well, Drake London, he's getting peppered with 14, 15 targets. He's catching a lot of balls. He looks good. But Kyle Pitts is probably not going to get re-signed. And he's going to go to Cincinnati.
Cleveland.
And then, he's going to be like world beater when he gets to one of these other schools.
I think he's going to end up with the Broncos, personally. But that's just where I think he's going to land.
I think he would dominate there.
Yeah, he would. For the Falcons this year, I'm giving him the C-. Honestly, my expectations weren't high for the Falcons. I thought that, who doesn't want to win?
Brent, what's your grade? Brent?
F. Freaking F. Okay?
I'm with him.
Super Bowl winning GM Terry Fontenot? Come on.
I'm with him.
There's the issue.
I'm with him.
So, look, I look at it this way. The Falcons, it was their division to lose. However, though, I wasn't expecting them to win in the first place, even though I said, hey, when I came out here before the NFL season kicked off, I picked them or the Bucs to be the champion. I can't remember who I picked exactly at this moment.
I'd go with the Bucs right now.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I picked the Bucs.
Yeah. But I tell you that it was the Falcons just falconing.
That's what they do.
I mean, that's what they do.
They're the Hawks. They're a 500 football team.
They can't get over the hump. They can't find consistency. Their personnel, they need to stay between the tackles.
Still an F from Mr. Rittersdorf.
You know what? There were some bright spots for the Falcons.
There
Brent,
were.
I have to disagree with you. Bijan Robinson is a stud. The man can carry the football.
Yeah, he is.
Their
London looked
offensive
good.
line.
F also stands for fantasy football team. You want the best fantasy football team, that's great. Falcons, it's an F.
Yeah.
And the offensive line looked pretty good. Chris Lindstrom's a star. I mean, he has been, and he will continue to be for the next 2 or 3 years. I can't give them an F because there were bright spots. But when they were 6-3, they were ranked as high as 7th in the league.
What, like power rankings?
Power
or something?
rankings,
Yes.
And then
Well, the 6-3
That
would
was
have been
it.
right after 509 yards passing, and we talked about it that week.
Yep.
He still never stepped into a throw on that particular thing. I give him a passing grade, whatever you want it to be. C. The quarterback looks like he could be serviceable starting next year. Hopefully, by playing a few games, he gets a little better before now and then. But going back to Fontenot. At the end of the day, what are you going to do to improve this team? You went
all offensive players you've drafted.
four,
Yep.
all 4 picks in the first round. And who do I hate more than anybody?
Terry Fontenot.
Captain Khaki.
Oh.
And Captain Khaki, what did
He
he
went
do?
offensive lineman, Joe Owl.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, he's going to do this. No, Captain Khaki's going to take the biggest ugly man in the front. How's that team doing? Oh, yeah, that's right.
They're in the playoffs.
And not just in the playoffs, they're doing well.
So I'm suffering from a little bit of appendix envy. I think he is going to be a serviceable quarterback. I really do. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. He's good aim. He throws the ball well. He made a couple of bad throws last week, but not many. I thought he was on target for most of the part, and he tries to throw the ball in windows that other people won't try to throw him into. And I thought he did a pretty good job of it.
I think Michael Penix is the guy. I don't think he's a serviceable quarterback. I think he's going to be, top tier quarterback. He's going to be a top third quarterback. He's a tier 1 quarterback. He's probably at the bottom of the first tier, but that's where he's going to be at through.
Well, sure, that's 11th or 12th in the league.
I became a Michael Penix fan, back when Indiana beat Penn State in 2020 during that COVID year when he scored that final touchdown. That wasn't a touchdown because he was actually short of the pylon, and they call it a touchdown anyway because that's just what Big Ten refs do. I think he is the guy. It's going to be interesting to see what they do to build around him. The offensive line has gotten a lot better. The question is going to come down to defense moving forward in the future because their defensive line, they are not getting very much of a rush off the edge.
Never have.
Yeah, and as long as they don't have that pressure up front on the front 7, those DBs are going to continue to get exposed week after week after week, which is what happened in the final 8 games.
Absolutely, and it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If you can't get any pressure on the quarterback, sooner or later, everybody will be wide open.
But they did a better job in the last half of the year of getting pressure on the quarterback.
They did.
Not
They're
in
still,
Minnesota.
Well,
yes, in the
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
They're still not getting home with sacks, but they are getting pressure and forcing people out of
They
spots.
had like 4 sacks in 3 straight games.
Judon had a couple good
Thank
good
God
games.
Judon fell into our lap.
Yeah. All right. Any other great games over the holidays? The one I enjoyed watching was Denver and Cincinnati. Really good football game.
That was a good one.
Denver needed to win it, and they didn't. But thank goodness they came back and beat Kansas City to make the playoffs.
I have a new favorite quarterback, and Brent will appreciate this. Bazooka Joe Milton,
Who told
makes
you?
some fantastic throws. I mean, he should be the starter at New England next year. He made fantastic throws.
Speaking of another F, when the Patriots just have to F it up, they F it up.
At the end of the day, I thought I said it when the draft happened that the second quarterback looked like I thought did okay this year, but by that final game he's just making it a little more difficult for that new coach, and considering the first guy got fired after one season.
Joe Milton ran around the pocket, threw it back across the field.
Is it going to be Vrabel?
They need to stick to landing. I mean, they went ahead and fired Mayo, which they should have done.
Yeah.
But they should have done that the day. They should have done that before the game was.
Yeah.
They could have gotten the first round draft. So instead, they win the game and they trade down for 3 picks every round.
All right. Well, we got a lot of pro games to pick, so we're going to move on to our American Access commercial and get into some pro football picks.
Pro football.
Wild card weekend.
Tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Access has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, the most memorable workouting ever, or just wanting to take something else off your bucket list, American Access in their 3.5 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, downtown at the Works, and the uber cool new mobile Axe experience that can be set up wherever you need. Keep an eye out for them at upcoming events and festivals. Look us up at American Access or give us a call at 678-763-3635.
How do you plan to party?
678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And thank you, Dan Fisher, for being sponsors of the Three Guys Who Love Sports. Wild Card weekends, probably one of the more fun weekends of the year because every game means something. And it's in or out now. It's win or go home. So, Rob, what are you looking at over there?
This is wins by starting quarterbacks that are still in the playoffs. You got
Playoff wins?
Playoff wins. Mahomes has 15. Wilson has 9. Josh Allen has 5. Goff and Stafford have 4. And then Baker, Lamar, and Hurts have 2 each. Stroud and Love have 1 each. And then, of course, Darnold, Knicks.
But be some cold in Philadelphia and somewhere else, but no snow game.
But in Baltimore?
Yep, 30 degrees. All right, so the Chargers laying 3 at Houston. I'll go first, and I got to take Houston because who was my first pick of the year?
How'd that work out for you?
They're in the playoffs. I got Houston and Green Bay. They were my 2 picks to play in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So I'll stick with them till they're gone. So I'll take Houston.
You can have some new choices next week.
Yeah, you can be a man of your word and be a man of regret next week because the Chargers
That's
are going to run
happened a few
away.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, the Chargers are going to run away with this one. Captain Khaki and company, Justin Herbert, they're just going to do the job.
Are you writing these down, Larry? Are you writing these down? Because I'm pinless.
Yes, Larry is writing them down.
Okay.
I've just been impressed with the maturation of Justin Herbert this year. You know, he's looked good. New system, new offensive scheme.
The coaching of Coach Khaki.
Yeah, they are just doing a lot better. They're playing football between the tackles. They're running the ball very effectively and efficiently. J.K. Dobbins is a beast out of the backfield. Gus Edwards has been phenomenal. Gus Edwards is out still, but still give me those Chargers. The Texans this year, they were down from last year. I think, ultimately C.J. Stroud had that sophomore slump. People looked at the scheme, kind of figured it out a little bit, and they had a harder time this year getting to 10-7 than they should have. But they're 10-7, they're in the playoffs, and here they are hosting the Chargers, who are going to beat them.
All right, Adam.
I love the Strouds, but the Chargers did my favorite thing all year. They did the fair catch kick, which is my second favorite rule in football. Behind the 1-point safety.
And of course, who gets it?
The Chargers.
Captain Khaki.
Captain Khaki.
I got a rule to break here.
And he said in his press conference, I've always wanted to do that. So I'm taking the Chargers just because they fair catch kick.
How about you, Robert?
The Texans started out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-1, 6-2. Man, this team's been a garbage fire for most of the season.
They had a lot of injuries. They had
Tank
Dell
Dell
go
is out.
down,
Diggs is out.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying they're not a little bit of a war of attrition, but at the same time, all these different clubs can say it. They just haven't looked good. I'll definitely, unfortunately, take Captain Khaki.
There you go.
I might not like him, but he wins.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore, a cold game, but no precipitation. I think it'll be closer than the 9.5. I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus 9.5.
But you do think
Baltimore
will win?
Yeah, I do.
I'm right there with you. I think I think there's a late cover coming for Pittsburgh. I think this game is 21-7 at some point, and they're covering, but they'll backdoor it in.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to see Mike Tomlin get another win in the playoffs. He hasn't done that in almost a decade now. And
He hasn't had a win in the playoffs in a decade? Wow.
almost a decade. And we are getting to that point where, if he doesn't pull this out this coming week against the Ravens, a division rival, that seat's going to start getting warm because
Even though he's never had a losing record as a coach.
being 500 and mediocre is almost as bad as
Being the Falcons.
Yeah,
Being the Falcons.
When you're
it's
in
almost as bad as being that 3-12 team, every 3 years, as opposed to having a great year every now and then. We haven't had a great year since the days of Big Ben, Antonio
Antonio Brown.
Antonio
and
Brown.
Le'Veon Bell.
My
those-
favorite professional tweeter.
Yeah, those guys, we have not had a team that could go the distance since we lost that game against the Packers in the Super Bowl. They just have never been able to recoup. But give me the Steelers because I'm going to pick with hope this time as opposed to, I'm going to pick with my heart as opposed to my head.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, that is they've loved him because he hasn't produced any losing seasons, but people want to win championships. So I think his seat will start getting warm.
The Steelers are on a losing streak right now. That's not going to go well for them. I love Lamar too much. Great offense. They're just coming off a win against the Browns, even though it is the Browns led by Bailey Zappi. So I'm taking Lamar.
All right, Denver plus 8.5 at Buffalo. I would typically take Denver if I was looking at this, but I have a feeling that this is the year for the Buffalo Bills.
Don't jinx me.
And I am going to take Buffalo laying the points.
Why don't you stick with Green Bay and
I am
Houston
until they're gone.
Yeah, but
then I'm jumping on the Buffalo wagon.
No. Yeah, I see this as being a Josh Allen game, early and often. He is the most dynamic player in the league, I believe, for what he can do. Lamar can run fast. He can do a lot of great things, but he can't bowl people over. And so cold weather, home field, I think this is a big Josh Allen game.
I agree.
Yeah, Josh Allen and the Bills are going to go to town this coming week. It's going to be a bloodbath in Buffalo. I'm
good with that.
But kudos to Bo Nix for everything he did this year.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I do feel like Kansas City kind of did throw that game. I mean, yes, they rested their starters. I mean, why bother to risk it if you're in the last game? You've already clinched number one. Why risk it? The product that the Chiefs are putting out there week after week after week is making the watchability of the NFL much lower every single week because, I mean, quite frankly, everybody's seen it. Everybody's seen the refs bail out the Chargers, or the Chiefs time and time again this year. I don't foresee them going far in the playoffs, but give me the Bills anyway. Sorry, I'll get off my horse and stop complaining here.
Let me ask you guys this question. We talk about buys and getting rest, and clearly the 4 teams in college football who got a break. But now you look at somebody like the Chiefs. Now, clearly they know how to win.
Yes.
And Andy Reid knows what plays to call, and Mahomes knows what to do and all that other good stuff. But they didn't play week 18. They get a bye. So that's literally over 3 weeks between meaningful games, and their week 17 matchup wasn't very meaningful. So really you could say 4 weeks. That's starting to get a little long, I think, to keep your focus. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do in a couple weeks.
I was going to say the same thing about this Bills team. They didn't really they played their practice squad last week against the Patriots. Denver comes in off a 38-0 whooping of the Chiefs. I think Sean Payton feeds that team a little propaganda. I think they have some momentum. I think Buffalo is headed in the opposite direction off the loss to the terrible Patriots. I'm going to take Bo Nix in Denver.
Thank you.
All right, Green Bay plus 4.5 at Philadelphia. I've already told you how I got to go.
Is that how you want to go, Chuck, or is that just you're just lumped in?
I'm zoned. I'll stick with what I picked until I can pick them no more.
I think Philadelphia is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I will take Philadelphia at home over Green Bay in this round.
Give me that great Penn State back, Saquon Barkley. He's going to run all over Green Bay this coming weekend, and it's going to be fantastic to watch.
I wish this game was at Lambeau.
Yeah, as much as I dislike Philadelphia as a sports city, I am going to be pulling for the Eagles this weekend.
For Saquon.
Yeah, for Saquon.
I hate the Eagles. The Packers have screwed me out of more playoff games than I can count. Des Bryant did catch the ball.
Greatest play I've ever seen in.
It was. If the stadium blew up, I wouldn't mind. But I'll take the Packers because I can't stand the Eagles.
All right, 2 more games. Washington plus 3 at the South Division winning Tampa Bucks. Washington's getting 3. I'll take Jaden Daniels in the points.
Is he rookie of the year?
I believe he's rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Barely above
Absolutely.
Knicks, though. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I said. Knicks has got nothing to be
there
ashamed
there
of.
was a huge difference 8
Early in
weeks
the year,
ago.
yeah.
And, and
Yeah.
pretty crazy how. I'm going Tampa. So it's a first game for a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. I think they'll confuse him a little bit. Baker just seems as cool as the other side of the pillow.
Yeah, I really like the Bucks in this one. As much as I want to see the Bucks win, I just can't in good conscience think that the Commodores are going to actually lose this one.
You got a problem with Lionel Richie right now?
No problem with Lionel Richie. I have a problem with the Redskins' name now. The Commodores are going to lose this, are going to win this one, surprisingly, on the road in Tampa Bay, with that polar vortex and cooler Florida temperatures. Give me Washington to win this game in the upset.
Continue, Chap.
I definitely I would like to see Washington win this game. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I will enjoy watching him beat the Cowboys for the next 20 years. Give me Washington.
I'll say this: I'm going Tampa, but if Washington's to win this game, he's going to have a breakout run where it's man coverage, everybody turns their back, and Jaden goes 65 to and he might need to do that twice.
Yep, I would agree. All right, last pick of the game of the week: Minnesota on the road laying 1 against the Rams.
The Rams. One of the most interesting stats that I always like to look at is the difference, point differential. This year, the Falcons, who just barely missed the playoffs, had a negative 34, which means the other team scored 34 more points than we did. Interestingly enough, the Strouds, perfect. 372 versus 372. That's not a good sign. Another one that's not a good sign is the Rams, who have played so good. Now, they got blown out early in the season, but they're negative 19 on the season. That's
And how
pretty
many
hard.
games are they over 500?
They're 10-7.
10-7.
But they were. You got to remember they lost the last game of the year, and in between that, where did they start out? They started out 1-4. So you look at that record and you take that 1-4. They've been dominating for a while. I'm going to take the Rams in an upset at home
All right.
over the Darnolds.
Ian?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I mean, if you look at the schedule this year, the Rams have started off the season 1-4, losing to Detroit, Arizona in a blowout. This is just part of the reason why they have a negative point total there. Chicago on the road. They lost to Green Bay by 5, and then lost to Miami, and then lost to Philadelphia. This past weekend when they lost to Seattle, I mean, Seattle is a tough team, especially for a division matchup. But Minnesota, looking at them, even though they're favored by 1 point, they're going on the road. They've outscored their opponents by 100 this year, talking about point differential. But realistically, I got to take the Rams at home, and I think the bandwagon Rams fans in Los Angeles are going to be very excited this coming Sunday.
If their stadium doesn't burn down between now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam?
What are they going to do if the Rams if the Rams and the Chargers both have home games for the AFC and NFC championships?
Play them on different days. Saturday and Sunday.
I guess they would have to.
Well, but they've always been AFC NFC championship games are always played on that Sunday.
I guess
that'd be a fun one.
I don't know what they're going to do.
That'd be a fun one.
Some people are calling Sam Darnold G-Cubus. I agree. I think he could be. I'm going to take Minnesota. I love Minnesota. Sam Darnold in this run has been fantastic. He might get replaced by J.J. McCarthy next year. But Sam Darnold.
They're trading JJ.
Sam Darnold might be the MVP this year.
I don't think he's going to be MVP, but I think he will be comeback player of the year.
Clearly.
I'm going to take Minnesota just because the times I've watched them play, if Justin Jefferson is on and Darnold's on, they're unstoppable.
Yeah. I saw a picture the other day, and it was the quarterbacks for the Carolina Panthers 2 years ago. It was Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. It's like,
Yep.
you know, when you're a bad organization, you let everything slide through your fingers.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've reached our 6 o'clock hour. What a fun show. Guys, that was a great.
Who's winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Oh,
Ian,
gosh.
go ahead and give us your picks.
Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Lions. I think it's going to be a Lions-Bills matchup.
Yeah,
That's
with
what
David,
everybody wants
with
to
David
see.
Montgomery coming back this week or next week.
The Rust Belt Bowl.
We'll see.
Yeah,
The
we'll
Super
see.
Bowl.
And
February 9th.
who do you have in the in the college?
National basketball.
In
Yeah.
college?
College basketball?
No,
No.
college the football.
Penn State, Ohio State.
That's what I.
Let's
No,
go.
but the winner being.
Oh, it's
He's required.
I'm required to say Penn State.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, thanks for coming out. Ian, as always, great to have you with us. Appreciate you coming on and give us the Penn State perspective. And guys, don't forget, know your numbers, cover your ass, get your prostate checked. We'll see you next week on Owl Show. And it's a great, great night to be here. We'll be having our general manager, Mike Kershaw, and our new head football coach, Larry Mack, coming in. So, Jerry Mack. So
Jerry Mack.
Yeah, so we're very, very excited. I was looking at Larry
That's
when I
Larry
said that.
Mack.
Yeah. Awesome. But we're going to get started with a commercial, and we'll get right into the show. Robert, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Can't wait to talk to our guests tonight.
Me either. All right, let's get the commercial out of the way.
Making preparations for when you're not around anymore is not easy. Nobody likes to think about their own mortality, and we can talk about it next week. Doesn't always fit into the big picture. And that's why you should contact our friend Ron Smith at Senior Life Insurance. Whether you're being buried or cremated, costs keep going up, but you can lock in a price today and take that final expense off your to-do list. Do your loved ones a favor and take care of your final expense so that when your time does come knocking, they won't have to worry about it. If you're age 1 to 85, they have a plan ready for you, so please contact our friend Ron and his team tomorrow at 440-561-0758.
What number was that?
That was 440-561-0758.
And we thank you, Ron Smith, for being the sponsor. Again, my name is Chuck Burge, here with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney, and we welcome you into the new year of 2025 and our first Owl Show of the year.
Hooty hoo.
Isn't that
Hooty
cool?
hoo.
That is cool.
I love it.
All right, so Adam Cook's here with us. Adam's going to give us a little 5-minute description of what's been going on since the last time we were on the air on December the 18th. Wow, that's a long time.
It was a long time ago. When last we left you, men's basketball was taking a trip to Santa Clara.
I was going to say they were in Canada, I think, last time we were around.
That was Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
They took a trip to Santa Clara. They did not get the win against Santa Clara. But then women's basketball came back on the 19th of December. They played our rivals from down 75, the Georgia State Panthers, and they got that victory 65-62. That was a fantastic game. Game-winning layup, fantastic defense. They came down from, I think, down either 11 or 14 late in the fourth quarter. It was a fantastic fourth quarter run. Men's basketball traveled to San Jose to take on San Jose State. They did not get the win in San Jose. And then they took a little break for Christmas. They came back the 29th. Men's basketball played Bruton Parker at home. They won that game 112-77. We had two 30-point scorers that night, Adrian Woolley and Simeon Cottle.
That's a bunch of
That's
points.
impressive.
That is the first time in program history that we've ever had two players score at least 30 points in the same game.
First time we ever played Bruton Parker?
No, that is not the first time we played Bruton Parker.
But we got them on the schedule again.
Well, Bruton and Parker both showed up, so...
I think this was the third, either the second or third most points in program history, 112. The previous record, I think the record is 119, also against Bruton Parker. Women's basketball took on Mercer at home after the Christmas break on the 30th. They lost by 3, 62-59. And then we turned the calendar year, and we had one game on Saturday. We had a pair of games on Saturday, actually, against Jacksonville State. We started Conference USA play. We split the game. Women's basketball went to Jacksonville, Alabama. They lost by 12. Men's basketball played Jacksonville State here in Kennesaw, and they won by 12. We have a game tomorrow night. Women's basketball plays Middle Tennessee State here. Men's basketball goes to Murfreesboro to take on Middle Tennessee State.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb. If it's supposed to be a blizzard come Friday morning at 8 o'clock, boy,
how are they getting home?
The men's basketball team coming back from Murfreesboro on Thursday night should be rather interesting.
Yeah.
Over Mont Eagle,
Yeah.
that ought to be fun, yeah.
Good luck to you, boys.
Yeah, good luck to that. All right.
I believe track starts this weekend, the indoor track season.
Yep.
So that's always fun. It'll be interesting to see how Callie does in the weight throw. We've got some athletes that are competing on the track, and lacrosse is not far away.
Now, Callie will not be competing in indoor because
she's
she sat
redshirted.
out.
She's
She
redshirted.
sat
But
that one out.
Annalise, I think,
She can compete as an independent, though.
Yep.
Right.
She just can't compete for the
She just
Eagles.
can't compete for Kennesaw, the Owls.
The Owls.
Let me ask you guys this. Did anybody know who Kennesaw State was in San Jose before the season started? And now
Probably
we've
not.
sent a football team and a basketball team out there in a span of 3 months.
Yep.
I mean, listen, we've set both the men's and the women's team out to San
So
Jose.
you know, our story and our script is getting longer out there. There's people out there who,
Yes.
you know, the next Brock Bowers, you know, he could just be rolling in to see us soon.
Yes,
We're on his
very
list.
well. He very well could be.
'Cause
And the
that's-
game Saturday was a good basketball game. That's where I
Yes,
was
it was.
fortunate enough to
Yeah.
meet Coach Mike and Coach Mack. It was awesome. Good food, too, in the Combo Center. Best pregame meal we've ever had up there in that suite. I love that. That was awesome. All right. Anything else, Adam?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Get out of here. Let's do our commercials, Robert, and we'll get Mike in here.
Joshua Smith and his wife Tammy are both graduates of Kennesaw State College. He's been practicing law for 24 years, specializing in sports and entertainment law, while continuing in criminal defense, civil litigation, juvenile and personal injury law. And he's ready to represent you all the way from your small town to the Supreme Court and any appellate court in between. With all the new rules regarding NIL and cash payments to athletes, they are placing a new emphasis on Kennesaw State University student athletics to help our student athletes better navigate some of the bigger issues that have tripped up so many. Give them a call tomorrow at 706-217-2095.
Where?
706-217-2095.
And thank you, Joshua and Tammy, for being sponsors of the Owl Show. There are a lot of places to get your oil changed in the Kennesaw area, but if you're looking for a personal experience, then stop in at Castrol Kennesaw Express Loop or Lost Mountain Express Loop. We'll always do our best to get you in and out quickly, safely, and without a whole lot of fuss. We're a true owner-operated business, and you'll find Brian under a car or hood at one of the shops. We offer experienced, knowledgeable technicians and the latest computer software to help you maintain your new car warranty and keep your pride and joy running for the next 100,000 miles. We proudly offer
Castrol products.
And we thank you, Brian Bristow, for being a sponsor of the Owl Show. And let's give a big hooty hoot to our new football GM, Mr. Mike Kershaw.
How are you, sir?
Listen to that crowd.
I'm doing fantastic. I know this crowd's amazing. This
It
great.
is, isn't it?
No, I'm doing great. I will say this though, your Georgia weather's kind of got me, got my throat just all jacked
Now,
up.
where is the
wait
weather
till
that
Friday.
you're so accustomed to?
All over the place.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Where
Name
was
a place.
Where was the last bit of weather that you came from?
So the last place I was at was Jackson, Mississippi, Clinton, Mississippi. So I was at Mississippi College this past football season.
That sounds like a hot, moist. Why am I sweating? It's 7 in the morning.
It is absolutely. You get out of the shower, you're as wet as when you got in the shower.
I believe that.
That's funny because you and we had a good conversation the other day at the basketball game, and you basically played ball at Delta State, isn't it right?
Yes, sir. Sure did.
So how did you wind up at Delta State?
So long story short, I actually ended up living with my high school football coach my 11th and 12th grade in Louisiana. And so then Delta State recruited me out of there, and so that's how I ended up kind of my roots got to the South at that point.
Where is Delta State? It's in
It's in Cleveland, Mississippi.
Cleveland, Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. And did you, when you played, did you know that you wanted to coach?
I knew I did not want to coach.
Oh, really?
I played. I was like, I'm not going to coach. I want to go actually start a business, make $1 million, and do all that type of stuff. My coach at the time, Todd Knight, said, you are a football coach. I was like, there's no way. I actually got out of it for 1 year, and the calling got me, and it just bit me, and I've been a football coach since then.
And you missed it?
Missed it, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what really was, I got to the real world, had to pay real bills.
Okay.
And then they called me back and said, hey, do you want to be a GA? And I was like, absolutely. I don't have to pay for my housing. I don't have to pay for any bills. That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robert. You had something?
I was just, what's it like to be an owl again?
I'm now another owl, which is, it's crazy. You come back, I was at Rice where we were the Owls there, and then come to Kennesaw State, and we're now the Owls again. So now let's
Better
make these
colors
Owls
on
win.
you now. Better colors
I
on you
really
now.
do like the black and yellow. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is neat. Now, what position did you play when you?
So I was a quarterback.
Yeah.
Played quarterback there, and then actually when I went back to GA, I coached. When I first started GA and worked with the receivers, then I took on the receivers and the quarterbacks. Ended up, if you're a Division II guy, you understand you're gonna do a lot of things. So I was the recruiting coordinator. I handled the video stuff. We did a lot. So, but really, once I got finished up, worked with the quarterbacks and receivers, and then called all the pass game stuff.
Oh, wow. And you hired Jerry at Rice. Isn't that what you told me Saturday?
100%. So a little secret for Jerry Mack. Jerry Mack came in and was looking for a GA job, and we didn't have one at the time, but he came into our facility, and I showed him around, talked to him. I told my head coach at the time, I was like, hey, I really like that guy. If we have a spot that comes open, he should be the guy we hire. And we did. A spot came open about a month or two later. We called Jerry. He hadn't had a job yet. Came back down. I think he was there about 2 days later and got to work. So sometimes you just know and what this guy's going to be all about, and he's done exactly what I knew he was going to do when I first met him in the building.
That's awesome.
And now turnabout is fair play, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, I needed a job. I'm not now unemployed. You need to hire me again. So he had called me long before that. So we had looked to hook up several times in our career. And again, we were at Rice together for several years. And then now back to the third time's a charm right here at Kennesaw State.
Well, tell us about your coaching legacy, because you started at Rice. Or at Delta State?
Started at Delta State. So my journey's a little bit different. So I got into coaching and then was at Delta State for probably about 6 or 7 years up until 2006. Got out of coaching, married my better half, or found my better half in Austin, Texas. And so I kind of made a decision to get out of coaching. Moved to Austin, Texas, kind of went there, started my own insurance business. And that went great, with my wife, and she already had a daughter, and then we had our son. Insurance business went really well, but once you're a coach, you're always a coach. She asked me, once my daughter graduated from high school, she's like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe getting back into coaching? And I kind of stopped and looked at her. I was like, are you kidding me? Or like, what are you trying to do? She's like, no, I mean, we've got time. I work from home. I can do what we want to do. And by 30 seconds later, I was calling every contact that I had.
I hope you were serious, because we are moving in that direction.
We're moving somewhere. And it just worked out that, Mike Bloomer got the job at Rice a year later, and we had talked that summer. I said, hey, I think maybe it may be that time. And it gave me a year or about 6 months to sell my insurance agency. And that first year at Rice, I actually went and volunteered. I was like, look, I just want a shot to get back in the door. That's all I want. I'll bet on myself, and I'll come for free. Went down there, moved my family down there, and then I was blessed to, with Coach Mack, was the offensive coordinator. The receiver spot came open. I interviewed for the job. I didn't just get the job. I interviewed for the job. Ended up getting the job and was the receiver coach there for 5 years, and it was a great time at Rice. I give a lot of credit and a lot of praise to Coach Mike Bloomgren, who actually just got the Cleveland Browns offensive line job today. A little shout out to Mike Bloomgren. But I give all the
good luck in Cleveland.
Yeah,
everybody needs luck in Cleveland.
You think it's cold here? Wait till you get to Cleveland.
Oh,
but got that job, and then turned it into the head coaching job at Mississippi College last year, and then. And some people know that program went defunct, and I was unemployed at that point.
How does a program go defunct?
There's several things that probably happen. I would say that I'm kind of muted on what actually happened with the way that we kind of separated and went our different ways. But it's a sad story. There's a lot of guys that didn't find homes quite yet, and some of these kids did find schools to go play at, and even coaches, same thing. So it was a little bit rough, but what I really want to do is take care of the guys that were playing there, take care of the guys that were coaching there. I knew that I was going to have some opportunities after, and once that happened, Jerry even gave me a call probably about a week later. He's like, hey, this is something that might happen at Kennesaw State. Would you want to go into the personnel type side of it? And that's a question that I had to ask myself too, is did I want to come off the field? And so when this happened and kind of thought about it, talked to my wife about it, this is a very new role in college football.
That's my next question.
That's something that I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's do this thing. I don't have a job. Might as well take this job.
And it's always interesting when you think you might know what you want to do, but then all of a sudden a position opens up that you have no history with, because there's never been that job before. So you are the first person with your title at Kennesaw State.
Well, that's good. That's awesome.
Correct?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Before
a trailblazer.
Yeah, I am a trailblazer at Kennesaw State here. Everyone's starting new deals, but it is a different deal. It's with the way that college football is today.
Sure.
Some people like it, some people don't, but you just got to understand this is the way college football is. It's the new wave of college football where the NIL stuff is important. The roster management side of it is important.
Portal.
And the portal is important. So you can either put it on the head coach, but the head coach really needs to focus on winning football games. It really kind of, to me, it's going to turn more into that NFL general manager role where, hey, we got to manage this roster, and you work with the head coach side by side and figure what this thing's going to look like. The head coach doesn't have time to talk to agents. The head coach doesn't want to talk to agents right now because the head coach has to coach that player. And so it is a little bit different, and it's just kind of the new wave of college football.
But, like right now, you guys might think you have a handle on the roster, and you think coach thinks he knows what he wants and everything else. But is this the kind of, and I realize I'm asking about a job that you've only had for a week, but is this one of those things where after week one or at the end of summer, he looks at you and he goes like, we're looking for secondary help, or, and he would come directly to you, and maybe that's when you start looking at recruiting or portal or what you can do to try to bring in those key elements?
Yeah, absolutely. You're always going to look and see. You kind of take a picture of what it's going to look like in the future. Right? Maybe this guy may jump in the portal on our side. Maybe this guy jumps in the portal. You kind of have to play that game of the what ifs. And so if he does, we got to make sure we got a guy behind him to take his spot. Or, hey, we really need to look at corners more than we really think we did because we thought we had guys. Well, actually, this guy may jump in or this guy may jump in. So let's make sure we got a board of guys that we can go look at. And that's every position because you just don't know. And you always want to, kind of the thing I say about a roster is that, yeah, you want to get the top star, right? But what you want to do to build a winning championship program is you got to build it from the bottom up. And you got to make your floor higher than what it is right now.
Correct. The last guy on the roster needs to be better.
Absolutely. If you get those guys better, well, then your special teams are better. Your second guy's better. Your third guy's better. And if you do that, that's going to win a lot of games in Conference USA.
Yeah. So you're kind of like the Terry Fontenot of
oh, he's much better.
Yeah, we shouldn't say much for the but that's kind of your role. But instead of free agency, it's NIL in this portal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In recruiting?
And recruiting, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have I told Coach Mack before I came, I was like, look, I love recruiting. I love evaluating players. And that's something I still wanted to do. I didn't want to come here and be like a DFO type guy and sit there and book flights. And that's not really why I came here. I want to help him build a championship roster. So it entails all of that. And there's still some stuff we just don't know what it entails. Like I'm still every single day we're figuring it out,
right?
Because it is a new role. There's no true blueprint right now.
Do you know anybody else who has your job in college?
Yeah, there's a lot like P4 schools now have that.
But do you know the person who has?
I know a couple. Yeah,
okay,
I do. So I've reached out.
Right.
That's also something that this week the coaches convention is in Charlotte. I'm going to reach out to some more guys, sit down with them, like, all right, give me your day-to-day. What do you do every single day? What's the thing you're looking for in a week? What are you trying to do to plan for a month? All that type of stuff. Just as, again, this is a new role for me, too. So I want to get better every single day. Just like I'm trying to build my roster, just like I'm trying to be a head coach, just like if I'm a quarterback, I got to get better every single day.
I'm envisioning what your office is going to look like 9 months from now. And the guy who's trying to solve his father's murder, and he has like the pictures all over the wall and strings connecting this one.
And pinpoints.
You're going to have a wall that's going to be your portal wall, and then your recruitment wall, and then you're going to have all sorts of stuff going on.
It's an exciting time. I'll put it that way.
I'm excited for you.
There's a lot going to go on.
Yeah,
well, we're excited to be here. My family, they'll get here in a little bit too. They came out a couple days ago to take a look. They're excited about the future here.
Yeah. Well, I told you I've never anywhere else. Whatever you need, you let me know, and I'll get you in touch with who you need to meet in terms of housing and all that stuff.
I think that's been kind of the whole thing here is everybody's reached out, but hey, let us know what you need. We're here to help. I'm really excited about the way this fan base is taking a part to this program.
And this program is so, I don't want to say new, but in its infancy,
relatively new.
That there is so much excitement over it that if you took this job at another location, not to say you'd be swept under the rug or but nobody's going to let you. People are attentive. They want to know, what do you need here?
Absolutely.
Those three guys up there, I see them doing stuff all the time. This guy too.
Yep.
It's always awesome.
It's great to be when you're at a program that really enjoys, wants to win and wants to do everything they can to help, and that's you don't get that everywhere. I'll promise. I tell you that. That's not at every stop. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and as I told you, me and Carrick went there when there were 5 buildings, and we've seen it grow into this. Now, was Rice FBS when you were there? They were, right?
No, we were in Conference USA for the first couple years, and then we transferred over to the American Conference my last year there.
Okay, all right. So you're familiar with the talent that it takes to win.
Absolutely, we know what it takes. And Coach Mack and I were at Rice at the same time. We know what it takes to win in Conference USA, and the type of players. And you always think, oh, you got to have this or that. You know what? You can win with this, or you can win with that. So I think we're both very familiar with what it's going to take to get Kennesaw State to a championship in Conference USA, and it's not the goal. That's what we're going to do.
And one of the things that Coach Mack said Saturday at the football game or the basketball game when they introduced him to Express Me is they're ready to win now. There's no reason for you to have to wait. I mean, you can win now.
You definitely can. In today's day and age of college football, you definitely can. I mean, look at Sam Houston State. 2 years ago, they won, 2 or 3 games maybe, and then this year they won 9 or 10 or whatever they won.
Went bowling, right?
Once they went their bowl game. So, we got to take Kennesaw State to a bowl game. That'll be a great chore to make that happen, get that done, and then go win their first Conference USA championship. And that's there. If you bring in the right guys, and we say the right guys, which means not just the best players, you got to have the right fit. And the right fit at Kennesaw State is different than the right fit at Jacksonville State or different than at Sam Houston State. So you got to bring in the right fit, the right culture guys. And Coach Mack's going to, from day one, and we had our first workout this morning, the right thing is the standard here. We're not going to settle for anything else. And we know what winning looks like, and that's what we're going to do with this football program. And the guys will either buy in or they're basically going to buy out.
Correct.
And go to another place, and we'll fill them out with guys that we want to bring in. So the guys we've signed right now, we feel those are the right fit type players for this program to take it to the next level.
That's awesome.
You brought in a quarterback from my my other alma mater, Georgia Southern.
Absolutely, he's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
And was it JC? Who did we bring in? French?
Oh no, the quarterback.
Quarterback at Georgia
Dexter.
Southern.
Quarterback.
Quarterback. The starting quarterback.
French.
No, Dexter Williams.
Dexter Williams. Okay.
Yeah.
I went to school with French's dad.
Oh,
That's
okay.
That's why I was like, we brought him in. I didn't.
Right.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really neat. So your wife is from Austin?
My wife's actually from Evansville, Indiana. So that
Home
was
of the
another
big balloon festival.
Yeah, that's
Freedom
another reason
Fest.
she liked moving
Northwestern.
here. So she was at Northwestern's in Illinois.
Evansville, Indiana. Right at the Kentucky border.
U of E's
right?
there. Yeah, U of E's right there. University of Evansville. So that was another reason she liked this move, because it, again, gets her closer to home. Her parents are getting a little bit older and getting up there, so she's now able to, I think we saw it was like a 5.5 hour drive up to Evansville. So that's going to help her and bring them down here and hang out a little bit too. So everything just kind of worked out the way it's supposed to work out. I mean, it's not my plan to make this thing work. It's a guy a lot bigger and powerful more than me that need to make this thing happen.
That's God's plan.
Well, just know that when your in-laws come visiting in February, they're going to be like, okay, where can we move? Because we like this a lot more.
Yeah, most people that come here never want to leave. And you told me you've only been here 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I got here, I guess it was probably a couple of weeks before the Christmas, maybe a week and a half before the Christmas break, so we could kind of sign some of these guys that we got, and then we had a little break for Christmas, and then back right at it. As soon as we got back here, we had guys on campus trying to sign more guys and make this roster filled out.
Well, obviously, we want to have you back anytime you want to be on. We got 3 quick questions for you. Number 1, where's your favorite stadium you've ever played?
Favorite stadium? We played in Tiger Stadium at LSU. That was pretty cool.
Baton Rouge.
Played at UT several times. UT here. Let's say University of Texas several times. That was a great place. And one of the more iconic stadiums over at Army was a really, really cool event. That was with all this, with all the soldiers out there and all that was really cool. So there's been several. We played at Tampa Bay. That was playing in NFL Stadium, NRG, all that type of stuff.
Yep.
So, but I would say if I'm picking right now, if I had to pick one, because as a high school kid was in Louisiana, I would probably say, it's pretty night game at Tiger Stadium is pretty tough to beat.
Yeah, that would be tough
I would
to
imagine.
beat.
When they start singing the Baton Rouge song, 100 and whatever thousand people start singing that's pretty crazy.
All right, number 2, who is the most famous person in your cell phone?
Jerry Mack.
Jerry Mack.
He's a bad man.
Brownie points. Brownie points.
He's a bad man.
There's a couple others. Jerry Mack is the most famous guy on my cell phone right now.
Well, the guy that just signed with Cleveland got to be up there too.
Yeah, you know, but
He's behind Jerry Mack, though.
Absolutely.
number 2.
Yeah.
Jerry Mack is number 1A.
Right. And the last thing we want to ask you, we want you to look in that camera up there and tell us why kids should come to play football for Coach Jerry Mack at KSU.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Mack's a heck of a coach. You know, coaching in the NFL, knows what it takes to be an NFL football player. We're going to run a great, exciting offense and defensive system. We're going to win games. We're going to score a lot of points.
I'm excited.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Where's the Kool-Aid at? I'm
All
drinking.
right.
Let's go.
How about one
Kick
more
down
big
the wall.
hootie hoo for Mr. Mike Kershaw?
Hootie hoo!
And we're going to get a Brain Train commercial out, and then we'll get Coach Mack on here.
Guys,
All right.
I really appreciated it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for coming on. Look.
Hey, it's Melissa at Brain Train Centers, the fastest growing neurofeedback provider in the world, and I have some pretty important questions for you. Do you or someone you know struggle with focus and attention, sleep, memory, or other mood issues? Or maybe you just want to achieve more in high-pressure situations. Well, what if I told you you can unlock your brain's full potential and change your life entirely through neurofeedback, a drug-free and natural approach to negative moods, and it's backed by more than 50 years of research, so it's not new. It is safe for both children and adults as you retrain the brain to create new pathways. Medication may help short-term, but they don't address the underlying issues. Just as push-ups help your physical strength, neurofeedback is personal training for your brain. With over 20 offices nationwide, don't hesitate to reach out to Brain Train Centers, as we will provide you with the highest level of compassionate care and help you achieve the mental clarity, performance, and calm you deserve. Your journey to a better quality of life starts with a brain map. Now you can retrain your brain and reset your life. So just call or text 470-291-2778 or visit BrainTrainCentersInc.com.
All right. We almost did.
Melissa and Meg, we thank you for being sponsors of the Owl Show. One more big hootie hoo for our new head football coach, Mr. Jerry Mack. You know what's really funny is when I first read your name, I'm a big music buff, and I thought of that song, Jimmy Mack. Do you know that song?
Jimmy Mack, when are you
Jerry
coming
Mack,
back?
when are you coming back? So we'll say that to you at the end of the show. Jerry Mack, when are you coming back?
I get that and a Return of the Mac.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the two popular songs for me.
Mack the Knife, you ever get that?
I don't, yeah.
I love that. A great song. Hey, so tell us your history to get you here to KSU.
Well, it's kind of a strange story. You know, I was sitting in my living room and got a call from a search firm. And they asked me, do you have any interest in Kennesaw State? And I said, you know, I've heard of it. I know about it, but I would love to learn more. And, you know, kind of we go down that path. When the search firm calls, they give you all the information, and you kind of go through the process with A.D. Milton and got a chance to come on campus. And, man, I just kind of fell in love the first time I got here. You know, whenever you saw boosters, the athletic director, number 2 athletic director, the president, all of them were just kind of talking the same language, and it's kind of what I wanted to hear.
Sure.
An opportunity to lead a young program that, you know, had some success, but they were still building and growing, and that's really what I wanted to be a part of. You know, leading the National Football League, I was like, man, that's a great opportunity right there to do something special.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah. Tell us about your playing career. Where did you play, and how did you get to the NFL?
So I'm from Memphis, Tennessee originally, and I played at a school called Whitehaven High School, which was one of the powerhouses in the state of Tennessee. And then I left there, and I actually signed with Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi, out of high school.
Coach Prime's last college.
Yeah, it sure was. He was there. So I stayed there for 1 year, and then I transferred to Arkansas State. That's where my dad played.
The Wolves.
Yeah. So my dad played for Arkansas State when they were the Indians back in the day.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Larry Lacewell, who was the head football coach. And so I ended up going there. You know, I was kind of legacy. That's my dad, alma mater. We got about 15 degrees from Arkansas State in our household. So I went there, and you know, kind of hurt my knee. I played receiver several pounds ago, and
a big receiver, sir.
So I went there, kind of hurt my knee, but I finished my career there, and then kind of got into coaching.
So where did you play in the NFL?
I did not play in the NFL.
Oh, okay. I thought Mike said that you had. So,
No, I coached in the NFL.
Where did you coach? How did you get into coaching in the NFL?
Yeah, so had been doing the college thing for about 19, 20 years, and then got a call from Doug Peterson with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So
Used to be with Jacksonville Jaguars.
yeah, used to, yeah, exactly.
Both of you used to be with Jacksonville.
I tell everybody, I got 2 texts. I text Coach Peterson 2 times, and didn't bother him. Did my job, and we had a lot of conversations. But the first text says, "Coach, thank you for the opportunity." The last text said, "Coach, thanks for the opportunity."
Yeah,
Well, and that's what you do. You learn that over 19 years of coaching, right?
Yeah,
you
you
make
just-
lots of friends and keep a lot of doors open.
No doubt.
So when you were learning about KSU and you asked, you're finding, what did you think when you, what do their fans yell? They yell hootie hoo. Is that a little different from everything else that you'd experienced?
Everybody has their own,
Absolutely.
kind of calling and what they say. Obviously, like Coach Kershaw said, we were Owls before. So
At Rice, yeah.
It made perfect sense to me. It was a little different, but there were songs that say hootie hoo in it all the time.
So, but the greatest war chant ever is the one that you heard Saturday at the basketball game. You don't want to go to war with the Owls?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
nice.
going to be fun. You're going to hear
that's
it a lot.
of fun.
Oh, yeah.
When that place is packed at the Combo Center, and I hate it doesn't have as much effect at the football game, but
It will.
everybody's right on top of you
Well-
in the gym, and it's when you have 4,000 people in there yelling that, man, that makes a difference.
And that's what we're trying to get at the football game. We're trying to make it the most hostile and intense section place to play in all of Conference USA. We've been in this league before, Conference USA at Rice. So we've seen some of these teams, back then, some of them did make the transition to go to the American League. And when you can get these teams in this league, when you get them in that stadium and make it a hostile environment, it just makes it tough on everybody. I was at University of Tennessee, and we had one of the most hostile environments in all of college football to play.
Neyland Stadium, 107,000? Is that what it holds?
Yeah.
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 Wow. Yeah. My son, Georgia Tech guy, but he was at a football game at Neyland Stadium. He got seats way up in the bleachers with a buddy of his, and he said that stadium literally shakes
It does.
when
Yeah.
it's full. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
That's cool. So who did you recruit at Tennessee that everybody might know?
So when I was there, I had all 3 of the running backs that I had during my time ended up going to the National Football League. So Jabari Smalls, who was on the practice squad with the Tennessee Titans this past year. Jalen Wright, who was a 4th-round draft pick by the Dolphins last year.
He got some runs this year.
He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
He did a good job. He's going to be a good young
Behind
back.
A-Chain.
Yeah.
A-Chain's
A-Chain's dynamic.
He is.
He is.
And then Dylan Sampson, who was SEC Offensive Player of the Year this year.
Yeah.
We signed, coached all 3 of those guys while I was there.
So has he got any eligibility left?
He does not. He decided to declare pro.
Well, there with the next question.
I wish. I promise I wish.
Let me ask you this, Coach. I got so excited when your very first press conference and you said, everybody wants to talk about Kennesaw State's the sleeping giant and, what we could be in the future. But, why not now? And when you said that, I came on the show that week and I said, if he and I'm not talking anything. I don't know anything. But, if you got the number 5 running back out of Tennessee who'd never played a single game and all of a sudden threw him on this campus, I was like, that would be the greatest athlete Kennesaw State has
ever played.
But it goes back to what you're saying. If you ended up with this player or that player, or maybe just a cohesion, as Mike was saying, from the ground up, where you're building your floor up, why not us? Why not now?
No doubt. You have no idea how just single players can change an entire program. And we're going to get that guy. I don't know if we have him now. We may or we may not. But, you think back to Central Florida. I remember 20, 25 years ago when Dante Culpepper played at Central Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, very similar, right? Central Florida's a young program, had a lot of people, but just hadn't really got on the national scene like that. They end up, I think they were FCS, matter of fact, back then. They were 1AA program, was called.
We compare KSU to South
UCF
Florida
a lot.
and Central Florida all the time. It's well, why not?
Why
Yeah.
not? It takes one player. You get one unique player or a couple of really good seasons, and next thing you know, everybody in a 4-hour radius wants to come to Kennesaw State.
Well, you should know that when people come on our show, good things happen to them.
Great things happen.
Travis Bell, do you know Travis?
I don't.
So he's the first player ever to be recruited from Kennesaw State
Drafted.
to
Drafted.
the NFL.
Drafted.
Drafted,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Drafted
Okay,
by the
yeah, I do
Bears.
know.
Yeah.
A year
So
ago.
we had him on the show on a Wednesday. He said, I'm going to go visit with the Bears the following Monday. And he did. And then that Thursday night or Friday night, he was drafted first pick of the 7th round
That is
for the
beautiful.
Chicago Bears.
Yeah. It's
So-
coming. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
try to continue to recruit at a high level, and we're going to try to get more draft picks like that every single year.
Yeah.
And I think with the transfer portal, that helps too, because you get a guy that may spend, not 4 years in your program, may spend 2 years in your program, but at the end of the day, he's a graduate of KSU.
Yeah. So how many years ago were you at Tennessee too?
I was there last year, actually.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
Okay.
my last year was 23.
So how have you seen the portal change over the years that you've been coaching?
Oh, wow. I just, first of all, I see how good you can get very fast.
Indiana.
Yes. He brings 20, 30, whatever
All of
players.
his guys from James Madison.
And all of a sudden, they go to the playoffs. Just the portal gives you a chance now. It's the great equalizer, right? It gives teams that traditionally haven't been as good sometimes. Vanderbilt, right?
Sure.
They get a quarterback from the portal that was, at a previous institution, and then he goes over there, and now they end up going to a bowl game, right?
Yeah.
Like just that fast, a couple of players here, a couple of players there, change the fortunes of your program, and all of a sudden, the teams that are the blue bloods, so to speak, all of a sudden they're balanced out now.
See, and I was going to ask you. So outside of KSU, is it going to create more parity?
I do.
In college football?
I do. I think that's what it is going to do. I think so. In the National Football League, they say in a perfect world, the National Football, every league, every division, it goes down to the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want everybody to be 9-8.
Parity is bring it all together.
Exactly. Because it's good for TV.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's eyeballs to the television, and that's what it's good for. And I think that's what college football is trying to create. You can see what they're doing with the playoffs. It's all a trickle-down effect.
Do you like the 12-team playoff?
Man, it is so fun to just watch football this long, and every game kind of come down to the wire. Some games are a larger margin of error than others, but man, just to see the playoffs, you're very similar to March Madness, right?
Oh yeah,
that's what makes March Madness cool. It's just like you never know who's going to win.
Who Cinderella is? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and this year we haven't had a lot of Cinderellas, but next year, the year after, Cinderella will probably get a date for a couple games.
I think there were a couple of people that made the playoffs this year that nobody expected.
No, I was just talking about winning once they got to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Indiana, Arizona State, Boise State.
Right.
These are Cinderella moments.
Man, how exciting is that going to be in college football when you see like the basketball? We always talk about the Cinderella story.
Sure.
The NC States of the world, from the '83 teams and stuff like that.
Jimmy Valvano, greatest quote ever
yes.
from Jimmy Valvano.
Just imagine a football team being like that. That'll be amazing.
Yeah, it will. It will be at KSU.
And it's happening.
It is happening.
It is.
We do another show at 5 o'clock, and we spend a lot of time talking about college football.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously love it. We really love being a part of KSU. And I know I told you Saturday, but I went to Kennesaw Junior College.
Yeah,
and then we've been there a long time. I actually found the Fellowship of Christian Athletes chapter at KSU back in 1900. Long
Did you
time
say
ago.
before Jerry was around?
Did you say there were 5 buildings
There
on
were
campus?
5 buildings on campus when I was there.
That's crazy.
Carrick's dad was my econ professor.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
in 1975 at KJC then.
KJC. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. The portal and NIL all getting, we're just throwing it into the jambalaya and all of a sudden it's the new game. Have you embraced it since it first happened? Were you ever with a coach who was, I don't like,
a Dabo Swinney that said, I hate it.
Dabo actually just got his very first player ever out of the portal. So, he's realizing, man, I better jump on the ship. But what was it like in the beginning, and have you always been in favor of it?
I have always been in favor. Obviously being a former college football player, and you're seeing how the game evolved and the TV revenues. And, the biggest thing is everything is all about the players. People think about NIL in a negative way sometimes, but there is positive benefits to that as well.
Absolutely.
When you think about these young guys and their families, they're able to put money back in their family's pocket and just provide a different lifestyle for their families and maybe to invest and set themselves up for a better future.
The Reggie Bushes of this world who were thrown under the bus 20 years ago now will never get mentioned for anything except for taking care of their family and doing, and like you said, it's all about the athletes at some point anyway.
Yeah, that's what it's really all about. So, even from the start at University of Tennessee, we always kind of embraced the whole NIL. I never wanted to be a guy that wanted to be a dinosaur in this profession. I always wanted to be able to evolve and stay on the cutting edge of what is new. We know a lot of coaches that they did not embrace it. And, you see like a Dabo, he's kind of changed his tune because, when in Rome, you got to do his Romans. You got to keep up with the Joneses a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about different teams and whatever. Look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame just keeps grabbing quarterbacks. They don't, it's like, I just need a quarterback for this season. Yeah. And,
It's like the National Football is free agency.
It is.
It's for college free agency.
Yeah.
Is all the portal is.
Yeah.
Right,
The only thing that I wish they would kind of bring it all together a little bit, because they still are young men, young student athletes,
Sure.
and some of the jumping around can be detrimental to their futures from just a transcript and a graduation standpoint, because everybody's not going to the National Football League.
No,
That's correct.
So they had to get a little bit, but even in the National Football League, there are certain trade deadlines, there are salary caps. Those things exist to protect not only the teams but also the players. And I think in the college football, we need to try to figure that out.
Yeah, and it really needs to stay as a student athlete instead of an athlete student. I mean, and I hate to see people like a quarterback, maybe a freshman or a sophomore, that's driving a Lamborghini. I mean, is his mind really on the game when he's been given so much?
No doubt.
Because I love the passion of, I'm very old school, and I'm be true to your school type of thing. I hate the portal. I mean, I understand that you have to accept it now because that's what it is.
Right.
But I used to love to watch a guy from his freshman year and see how much he progresses. And I think it's a lot of schools like Marshall. Haven't they lost all their players or something?
They lost a lot of the players, jumped in the portal. A lot of them went to with the new coach to Southern Miss.
Yeah.
But that just opens up the whole Southern Miss roster to go somewhere, because
It does.
if everybody got replaced there, somebody's got to go somewhere.
We can still watch a young man grow. He might be at 3 different schools, but we can watch him grow from freshman to
Well,
senior.
and for years and years, we always threw kids. Kids got he committed to that school, and then you get your Nick Sabans who I will never coach at Alabama, and you go, okay, well, if he can do this, maybe something else. So I think hopefully they are pulling in the reins a little bit to because it's kind of like the Wild West right now, but.
Everything is bad if it's abused. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like everything has to be done in moderation more than anything else. And we got to figure out what that happy medium is to allow the players to have their rights and have their freedom. But at the same time, they're still 18, 19, so we have to protect them. We
Absolutely.
still got to protect our kids.
Absolutely.
And with all this done, the portal and NIL stuff, college football is still the greatest sport in the world. Yeah, I mean,
He says it all the time. He's not just blowing smoke
no,
for you.
I know. It's not. It's always controversial. I mean, whether it's a call in a game or whether it's my school is great and your school sucks. I mean, that's the way it is.
That is the
and
way
it's
it is.
what makes college football the best. 5 months in the world or
It is.
in the year? I just love it.
And what you're bringing to this university, you touched on it earlier when you said you came to the campus and the president and the AD and this person and this person and this person, they're all wooing you, if you will.
Right.
And if you went to Tennessee as a head coach or any of these other schools as a head coach, man, there's so many donors. Man, there's a few people didn't even want you walking on campus.
Right.
So not every, here, man, we want you on campus.
There you go.
So I hope it invigorates you every morning. And
It's alignment. That's the biggest thing you saw here. I saw a program, even since I've been on campus the last month or so. I mean, we've met with so many different departments, from human resources to HR to housing. Like, all these people, they just want to help and they want to all collaborate, and let's figure out how to be the best version of ourselves. I'm telling you, like anything else, you want to go far, you go together. And that's kind of what I see Kennesaw State being.
So how long was the process, Jerry, from when this recruiting firm called you till the day you signed?
Oh, it was fast. You're talking about maybe 2.5 to 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. Did you know Milton beforehand?
I did not.
Okay.
I had heard of him. He was when I was in North Carolina as a head football coach. He was the athletic director.
High school or?
No, at North Carolina Central.
Oh, okay.
In Durham. He was the athletic director at another school in the conference.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, we got one more commercial we have to do, but listen, if you're out there and you want to ask Coach a question, and I know a couple of people do, come line up over here behind Larry, the engineer, and Adam, and we will let you ask Coach a question as soon as we get this commercial done.
tired of going to the same old places for the same old thing? American Axis has your solution. Whether you're looking for something new to do before or after the game, the most memorable workouting ever, or just wanting to take something else off your bucket list, American Axis has 3.5 Atlanta locations in Marietta, Tucker, downtown at the Works, and the uber cool new mobile wax experience that can be set up wherever you need. Keep an eye out for them at upcoming events and festivals, and look them up at American Axis or give them a call at 678-763-3635.
What's that number?
That number was 678-763-3635 to schedule your next adventure.
And we thank you, Dan Fisher. And coaches, I don't know if you heard when we told Mike, this show, all we do is raise money for KSU.
Oh,
all these.
This is all NIL money.
All these dollars
Get
that
out
come
of
into us for sponsorships go straight to the school. We haven't taken 1 penny in 3 years.
That's crazy.
So
I'm hoping for a vacation one day. I just don't think it's
we
going to
just
happen
had
for
a
a while.
3-week vacation.
Well, I didn't say. I was talking about my paid leave, but
Oh,
no,
okay.
we
All right.
love
All right.
donating. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Actually, we got these nice
You guys are getting paid?
stuff from Coach Aaron Thorne, the women's golf coach. We gave them $500 a couple
Yep,
of months ago.
yep.
And she gave us all kind of gear and
That's
stuff.
sweet.
Yeah, that's
like
nice.
that. That's a different
Get your hands
house.
off my.
he's liking that swag.
All right, we have a friend, Will the Thrill Renfro. Will is a frequent guest and probably the biggest fan in many ways that I know at KSU. And he's got a question for you.
I'm not as big as I used to be, but he doesn't know that I used to weigh 400 pounds.
He's lost 110 pounds.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so I
Cut
got
off a leg.
I got 2 questions. The first one is, okay, it's the opening game against Wake Forest. We're playing up there. We get the kickoff. We drive down to about the 35-yard line and get a 4th and 1. Are we going to punt it, try to pin them deep? Are we going to do a long field goal, or are you going for it?
Are we plus? You said plus 35?
Yeah.
What quarter? First
Oh,
quarter.
it's the
First
opening
quarter.
drive.
Hey, look at this strategy here,
You got to set the season, the
Look,
tone.
let me tell you right now, we're going for that one now.
Love it already.
We're in first
Philly
We're
special?
in a hostile environment, out of our element. Like, we got to do it.
Okay.
I don't know how hostile it is
I was
at
going to
Wake
say
Forest.
that was a little tongue in cheek when he said Wake Forest was a hostile environment, but that's just because he's from North Carolina Central.
There
He
you
knows
go,
to make
yeah.
fun of
It's
that.
the home opener. They got a new coach. We got a new
No,
coach.
absolutely,
man,
absolutely.
It should
Lots
be
of
tough.
stuff.
That's right. They do have a new coach.
I'm
Yeah.
down with it. We're going to be there. We're already making plans to go and bring the tailgate with us.
Nice.
So the
Yeah,
second,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys met. Well, you met with the tailgate group, right?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah, all 4 of us met with him one day.
You wouldn't believe what they said about you. We'll get on that after.
We'll get on that.
That'll come out soon enough.
Yes, it will.
All right, the second question has to do with our tailgate.
Okay.
So we're already planning menus.
Oh, wow.
But now here's what we need. We need you to determine what the first home game is going to be.
Okay.
Is it going to be a mac and cheese bar or a Big Mac burger bar?
Man.
Who do we play?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We got the Mac.
Yeah. You know what? My son, my whole family, we love mac and cheese.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's got to be mac and cheese for my youngest one.
All right,
There
so I'm
you
gonna
go.
have to send this clip to Tom Chenal and say, look, all right, we set the tone. We're gonna have
Hopefully, Tom is watching already.
hopefully, but we're gonna have the mac and cheese bar at the first home opener.
And
love it.
Will, do you know the song Jimmy Mac? So we have to redo that and call it Jerry Mac.
you coming back?
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad he sang that because I was.
Yeah, you know it now. Then we're about to
Yes.
sing it, right? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That was my only
Are
2
you
questions.
happy now?
Now,
Well, I got one more if you'll let me.
I have
absolutely.
a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Will.
Can we can we call the offense? I'm taking credit for this one. Can we call the offense the Mac Attack?
You can. You can.
I've been given permission. I like it.
So speaking of the offense, what is your offensive philosophy?
So, we're going to play very fast. That's the goal, right? The goal is to play very fast. The plays don't matter, but we want to have an aggressive style. When you come and watch us play, I think one thing that's going to kind of draw your eyes a little bit different is just our formations are a little bit different. Our splits from our receiver position, kind of some of the things that we do are a little bit unorthodox than normally. But I do feel like that's what you got to do in college football now to create that edge. We're going to be a little bit different than some of the teams in our conference.
Would you compare yourself to Coach Petway? Because when they get that ball, they run.
Yeah, I would. I would compare it to being like basketball on grass. So
Yeah.
to speak.
So we're looking at no huddles and keeping the defense out on the field as much as possible, that type of stuff.
We are. We're looking to be fast. We're looking to be aggressive, like you talked about.
The 1990 Bills.
That's a good example. When I was at Tennessee, we were the fastest offense in the country. We had we averaged like 3 plays per minute.
Is it going to be? Are your splits going to be similar to a veer and shoot Tennessee, where you've got wide receivers all the way out to the boundaries?
That's exactly right.
And you've got stack formations on the edge.
Yeah, we don't make any kind of secrets. Like, we are who we are. That's kind of what we do, what we believe in. If you see the offensive staff I hire, everybody in the offense.
Tennessee.
They've been in that style of system. Now,
Yeah.
The thing that we're going to do, we're going to put our own twist on it as well. With every program, every time you see this offense, it has their own little twist to it. And
We got wrinkles for you, Liberty in Western Kentucky.
so it's going to
The
be our
blob.
version of that style.
So that's cool. So Adam, was that your question?
Yes, that was my question.
All right, I want to make sure we got it in. So where's your favorite place you played, Coach?
Favorite place you played?
You
Played
played
or
personally.
coach?
Coach.
Or both.
The favorite place that I've coached, I tell you what, I always tell the story about Georgia, playing Georgia when I was at Tennessee. I think Georgia was a hostile environment when we played at Tennessee. Alabama had the best entrance of anybody I've seen while I was in the SEC. Well, they played their rap song. It's called "The Man Right Here."
Right.
And they had Nick Saban on the jumbo screen in the tunnel coming out, and they had smoke coming out when he came out. And the best place I played when we was in the National Football League was Buffalo Bills. The Bills Mafia was real on Monday Night Football.
That's a big Buffalo Bills fan right there.
Oh, my God. That was unbelievable right there.
That's neat. Who do you think's going to win the college championship?
I really don't know. I've always kind of liked Coach Franklin and Penn State, so I'm kind of pulling for those guys to take it all the way.
The guy that sat in your chair for our 5 o'clock show is a Penn State grad. So
really?
He's on the same boat. Yeah. I don't know. I had Oregon and Alabama playing at the beginning of the year. That was my call. So
that was a good one.
Obviously not, but yeah. But and then we'll ask this question too. Best conference in college football out there right now?
I mean, the SEC is probably the best. Just pound for pound, they're the best. They got the most money. Like, they got TV revenue. They got some of the better players. Like, even in the National Football League, when you draft players, if they're from the SEC, they just kind of go up on the totem pole as far as respect level. Everybody in the trenches that play in that level on the offensive line and defensive line is going to play in the National Football League probably. In some kind of capacity, whether they're draft picks or free agents, they're probably going to play at some point.
Or on a practice squad or something. Even a guy who's not anything else, he's still making it to a practice squad because if you played at Mississippi State, you've been in the trenches,
Yep, that's exactly right.
So how many years were you on staff at Tennessee?
3.
Okay, so that wasn't the year that Tennessee beat Georgia in Athens. That was before that.
No, that was like 2016 with Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
They still talk about that. That was a big one.
Yeah.
They talk about things that are a long time up in Tennessee.
I'm not a Georgia fan. The only thing Carrick and I disagree about is he's a big dog fan, and I'm not. Yeah. I'm a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket guy.
One thing that we've always talked about since we started the show, and we're about 2.5 seasons in, is that he's a Georgia Tech / Georgia Southern guy, and he's a Georgia guy, and he's a Purdue guy. At the end of the day, what we're creating here, what you are bringing to this table, is a 7-year-old kid right here.
Garrett's kids.
Garrett's kids. That guy's kids.
Right.
They're KSU fans.
Yeah.
They're not. I'm not this fan or this fan. I'm a KSU fan, and so that mindset has started now.
That generational mindset,
and it really does take it, because if you ask somebody, well, who are you? Well, I root for KSU, but this is my other team.
Right.
At some point, there's not going to be another team. This is my team, and I know his kids are going to go bonkers with the W's that are going to happen down at Fifth Third.
Man, it just takes time. Things take time to build that tradition and build that brand more than anything else, and that's what I want to do here. I want to be able to build that tradition, build that brand where you say 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, because at some point in time they're going to be 16 and 17, and hopefully we'll get a chance to recruit those kids, and then, like you said, that's when everything just starts to change and the trend starts to change.
Well, and that happens to every school. There's always a really good player who goes to a school, and you go, why did that kid go there? Because that was his favorite school.
Yep.
So
exactly right.
We don't have that right now, but like you said, 10 years from now, we're going to have those kids.
Yeah, it just takes time to build it, and we laying the foundation right now. The previous staff did a great job of laying some things, putting some things in place, and then we just trying to continue to create it in a different way.
Yeah, and the exposure is growing too. I mean, it obviously is. And from when we played Xavier at the NCAA basketball championship tournament a couple of years ago, me and Will and Garrett went up to the game and Carrick, and nobody knew where Kennesaw State was. Nobody. And now we're playing at San Jose State. We're playing at UTSA, and we're playing at Wake, and we're playing at Indiana.
Please beat IU.
So that name,
please,
that name is coming.
Purdue guy really does not like that one.
I hate Indiana.
So that name is Kennesaw State is really getting known. And that's what happens on a Tuesday and Wednesday night when you're playing. And,
Yes.
and as I mentioned before, how much everybody loves college football. And you're the only game in town. Somebody's watching because it's football.
And I root for all sports. Like I was at the basketball game the other day, Jacksonville State.
That's where we met.
We ended up winning, and they went to the tournament a couple of years ago. Like as all sports continue to get better and really get good and also get exposure, it just makes us all good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So what's your favorite sport to watch other than football?
I'll probably say basketball.
Yeah.
I like watching a little basketball every now and then.
NBA or college?
College.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching college football.
Yeah, there
College
you go.
basketball.
Yeah. I'm not an NBA fan either. Yeah. I watched 4 games last night because I have multi-view, and I had 4 college basketball games on at the same time. I hated 2 of them. Georgia won and Tech lost. So but the other 2, they were pretty decent basketball games. So who's the most famous person in your cell phone?
That's a good one.
Thank you. We've had some good ones.
Probably David Shaw. I don't know.
He used to be the head coach at
Used to be the head
Stanford.
coach at Stanford.
Yeah.
Or, man, it's hard to say.
He took the job right after
You
Captain
know what?
Khaki left.
The reality is probably Josh Heupel.
Heupel?
Yeah, that's probably the most famous person right now on my phone, I would think.
Trevor Etienne.
I do have Travis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got Travis number. I don't have Trevor's number. I got
Oh,
Travis
okay.
number.
Travis is the one in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Evan Ingram's a friend of mine.
Man, that guy was the first person to congratulate me after we got off the field the last game.
Oh, really?
He was the very first person. I forgot he was from kind of this area.
Yeah, I went to Hillgrove. His
Yeah.
mom's a really good friend of mine.
Man.
I do an event every year that Evan gives me an autographed jersey.
What a great human being.
Huge, fabulous guy.
I can't, man, that guy's amazing.
Are you a golfer?
I try to go out there. I don't
So
know.
swings
he's trying to
occasionally.
play, and Carrick, I bet Carrick would hook us up, and me, you, and Evan play out at
Really?
Dogwood.
Nah, man, he's awesome. That'd be great.
He's a great guy.
He is.
Yeah, he's a
He
good,
is.
good kid. I actually, he had his first football camp here this last summer.
He did.
Yeah, and I helped his mom get some sponsorship money for it. So.
That's sweet.
Yeah, she's sweet. Michelle Zelina. Yeah, you'll meet her. Yeah, if you
That's
if
a
you
good
know.
man right there.
Yeah, Evan's good dude. Good dude. All right, Robert, you want to ask him the other question?
Sure. There's a camera right there. Point to there we go. There,
my God.
there's your camera.
You didn't know you were on camera.
So,
I kind of did. Yeah, I saw it on there.
so there's 2 different people out there right now. There's an 8-year-old who's fallen in love with KSU, and there's an 17-year-old who's wanting to know where he's going to go to school tomorrow or next year.
Right.
Tell them why they should pick this university.
You should pick
and
Kennesaw
you.
State because it's a team on the rise. We can be as fast as we want to be. We can be as good as we want to be, as fast as we want to be. All we need is you to come to Kennesaw State and be the best version of yourself. If you're 17 years old and you're looking for a place to leave a legacy, this is the place for you. If you're a young person that's 7 years old and you're looking for a place to have a brand and do something special with your life, Kennesaw State is the place.
God, like that. Mike, pen drop.
I
We
did
have a mic.
a pen drop because I don't want to break my microphone.
So tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I have 3 kids. We're 20, 18, and 12. The 12-year-old, he'll be down here with me. He'll be on the sideline at football games, I'm sure.
Love
or he'll
it.
be in the mac and cheese bar, one or the other.
Oh, he'll be at the mac and cheese bar that first game for certain.
But my oldest 2, they're in college right now, and my son, he wants to get into scouting and things like that. So he'll probably be working with us a little bit at some point in time.
Nice.
What school are they at?
Hey, they're in North Carolina Central in
Oh,
Durham,
they're-
North Carolina.
UNC.
Your old school.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure.
That's cool.
So is that where they pretty much grew up?
That is.
Most of their middle school, high school.
Well, they grew up there for about 5 years, with it 4 to 5 years, and like anything else, they created a lot of friends. They created
Absolutely.
a lot of a great situation. Had a great time in their life, and they wanted to go back there for college.
Love it.
How you loving Kennesaw so far?
I love it. I love it, just the collaborative effort that everybody's trying to put forth. And, you just see the passion that, this program, this university is trying to do something really, really special. And it's fun to just be on the front end of that and just try to help lay that foundation.
And I love that you compared us to Central Florida, with the Dante Culpepper, because we've been talking about it. This is kind of, those 2 schools came out of nowhere. There used to only be 3 schools in Florida, and now all of a sudden there's 5 competitive schools, and you could say some other ones as well, but there's 5 who could be, in the bowl challenge on any given year. So
It's kind of like you said, why not?
why not?
Why not?
And
Like, who's holding us back?
And I think that's
Not you.
Well, I
That's
know
what I
we
like.
talked a little bit up in the suite Saturday, but when I saw you on the court and they introduced you, man, that was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
Was it good for you?
Yeah, it was great. It's just great to see the fan base. You can just see people's energy, you see their eyes, and like even the students. There were students there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think it's just an exciting time. It's a special time to be at Kennesaw. I think the basketball team is going to do something very, very special this year. Both me, I'm going to go to the women's game tomorrow. I'm looking forward.
Coach
to
Blue
seeing
would love to
everything.
have you.
Yeah,
On
I'm looking
KV
forward to
Blue.
supporting these sports, getting out there, and just meeting the people that love Kennesaw.
Well, you've got 4 of them right here. I'll guarantee you that. So, one more big hootie hoo for Coach Jerry Mack.
Hootie hoo!
And I want to ask you one more question. Jerry Mack, when are you coming back?
Soon.
I love it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week, and a very special night to have Coach Mack and Mike on with us. And we hope that you'll be back out next week right here at Miller's House. Hootie hoo! Hootie hoo!